Hello everyone, this is Planckera, and welcome to my universe. So, I'm gonna have to fight my instincts again. It's no longer just with malice, with all my straight lines and making nothing curved. Here, I'm gonna have to be getting rid of a lot of contrast. Basically, I decided to go look at a bunch of art that kind of did the things that I was hoping to accomplish with this, and I found I am still far too addicted to contrast. That was the big thing that made things look softer, was just, you know, have less contrast. I mean, it makes sense when you think about it. Or at least it does when I do. So, I wanted to go in and fix a couple of compositional things with the mountains. They're still... The mountains and the clouds are still not quite doing what I want. So I wanted to start with that, but then I'm going to be getting back into Pippa's face here. And I'm going to try something. Basically what it amounts to. I'm going to just try to figure out the best way to make certain things happen. Alright, where's my clouds layer? Here's my clouds. I'm going to hide them for now. They will come back. But first, I kind of need to know where some of these mountains are going to go, and I just realized that I kind of wanted some flatter areas. Like, I still want them to be peaky, for lack of a better term, but I don't know. Everything is maybe just a little bit too pointy. Because, I don't know, mountains, they have these little areas like this, where they just kind of roll into things like that. Let me see. Do I have more mountain? Yes, I do. Okay. Yeah, and it'll give me a little bit more room to add some mountainous layers. Was that not the mountain color? Because that does not look like this one. Okay, no, it was. It's just where it is. You know, fair enough. I'll probably have to change the snow a little bit too. But I definitely have to keep the swatch off right now because, man... I have to be able to see where everything is going here. So, I don't know, maybe I can do something like this. Hello there, Protox, and thank you. I hope you have a great day, too. Okay. I do want a little something sticking up over here by the side of her head. Just a little something. But I don't think it has to be quite as sharp as I was making it before. Let's try to just soften things up a little here. Add a few more little interesting shapes here and there. And see what I can do in that regard. Okay, yeah, that's a little bit better. Oh no. How terrible. I don't know, maybe I should add a lurk command. Just make it like exclamation point hello instead of exclamation point lurk. Alright. Man, I do wish I could turn off the YouTube auto-moderator a little bit, because it is really needy, and I don't like it. Just very particular. And I'm like, you know, maybe I'm okay with a little bit of spam. And if I get an actual spammer, I can just, like, take care of it myself. It's fine. Like... YouTube out there just trying to tell me what to do, and I don't appreciate it. I don't like it when people tell me what to do. Let's see, I kind of want to make this look a little bit more foothilly. Like, it's still very mountainous, but I'm just going to make it like a little bit flatter here. And make sure I fill in some of these areas back here. Maybe add just a couple little peaks that don't quite correspond to where I put other things. Just to make it look like another layer instead of just more of the same kind of mountain. Okay, and then what is up with that? Is that just... Okay, that's just where I plopped in some shadows. You know, maybe I should do something about that. I'll move these around a little bit to kind of separate out my mountains a little bit better. These guys can be just all the way in the back. It's fine. Something like that, I guess. That seems fine. That seems pretty okay. Let's see. Looks like I missed a spot there, or maybe there's just a tree there that I can't see. Okay. Yeah, that feels a little bit better to me. Let's go turn off the swatch, and I will put the clouds back, because I do want them there. It just, maybe this one's a little bit overpowering, so I might make them just, like, a little smaller or something. Oh, I'm on the wrong layer. Whoops. And I'm not worried that I accidentally cut off things there. It's fine. I'll fix it. I'll fix it. There we go. We can show off a little bit of the sky over there. Go ahead and fix the parts I accidentally cut off here. Okay, and then this one, I think I want to scooch over just a little bit here. Just a little bit. Maybe angle it just a little bit too, so it mostly covers up there. And then maybe just make it into a little bit more of a point right there. Okay. Sun. You got a little bit big there. I push things around a little bit too much. I want a little bit less on this side of Pippa. There we go. Kind of same with the pinker parts of the sky. I need to kind of get rid of some of it over here. Over there needs to be more blue. But over here can still be quite pink and purple. There we go. That's a little better. Gonna grab some of that purple and just blend this out a little bit more. And I think that's about all I want to do there. Let's see, I also know that I want to blur the animals here. The little bunnies in the foreground there, so I'll move those to a new layer. At least as well as I can. It's going to be a little bit messy, but such is life. Sometimes things must break before they can get better. It's all good. I'll still leave them in this group. I think I can still use... Well, no, I really can't, can I? Okay, well, we'll go put you up in the foreground area. Okay. And I'm just gonna go ahead and blur them now, just so I can see compositional stuff better. Oh, do I have the layer locked? No, I don't. Okay, so there's just shenanigans, it's fine. I want these to be a little bit more in focus than the trees, but there we go. And then there is some minor proportion things. I'm not sure how much I really care, but I just want to make this guy a little bit more appropriately sized because right now he's like giant. And I want him to be properly sitting there just on her house, and her house is like way in the background, and it was a bit strange for it to be like that. And this bird I think is also a little bit big, and I'm also not sure if I like where he's sitting. I kind of want to do something a little cuter here. So we'll make him a little bit smaller. I'll angle him a little bit more nicely. He'll be carrying something someday, but it is not yet time. Okay. There we go, that should be good. And we're just gonna take a look at things real quick, make sure that I kinda like things in general here. Oh yeah, there's also one thing I wanted to try. It hasn't been liking it when I select like all of the layers and try to transform all of them. So I'll just go ahead and put it into a group. A group of literally everything. Okay. And I just want to see if it looks good when I go ahead and try to transform it. Oh no, don't do that. The lag is real. But yes, I just want to try to put everything at a little bit of an angle here. Okay. Yes, I know. I don't mind. It's just one of those things where I gotta try it in order to really feel it out. Let's do the extremes. So I'm just gonna push it real hard. This looks like really, really unstable, which is not what I'm going for. This actually looks okay. But I think it makes the sky look big whereas I want to make the snow look big. So maybe just a little bit that way and not like a lot. I don't know, there's just something about the composition that still felt a little bit boring. And it's always one of those things that's hard to explain. But I felt it. So I'll see if this looks better. I don't like how unstable it is right now. I'm gonna flatten it out just a little bit more here. But hopefully this fixes whatever I felt was just a little bit off. Okay, let's see. Just give Krita a second, and then I'll let it have a slight heart attack when I switch back and forth real fast. So here... versus here. Okay, here. Come on, you can do it. There we go. Here or here. Here or here. Here. Or here. Sorry, I gotta go back and forth a few times to really feel the difference here. And I want to make sure that I do it right because it's an important decision, and once I make it, it's going to be hard to go back. I think the angled one looks a little bit better, though. I think it does. Let me see. Composition helper. Why does it look a little better? Okay, I think I can kind of understand why. Alright, yeah, I think I like the angled version a little bit better. Let me zoom in and just do one last check here. So I'll be looking between here and my little thumbnail up there. And see how I feel about it all. Just give it one last look before I go on to trying to shade Pippa here. Because I have something I want to try there. Gotta fight my instincts again to try to lessen all the contrast. Yeah, I think I understand why. Basically what I'm doing here is I'm making things a little bit more cramped on this side, where, you know, we're not really supposed to be looking anyway, so that this way things can look a little bit more spacious on this side, and I think that actually works really, really well. It's not quite strong enough for it to be a Dutch angle, so I will have to fix the angle of, like, this deer and stuff, because right now he looks like he's having some trouble. But... I do like the way it looks. I should probably add the path color to the swatch at some point. So let me go and just fix everything. Let's see, at this point, I do feel like we probably see both sides of that path. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab the shadow color here from the swatch. And just plop it in. Not on the path, on the snow pile. There we go, and just plop that in there. Maybe not quite that much, but something like that. Get a little bit wider over here as everything kind of starts coming forward. All that good stuff. I guess I should lock the layer. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Next. Let's take a look at the deer. So that means I want my layers back on and my swatch off. Just so this way I can start aligning everything nicely. I think all the bunnies are still okay. Maybe this guy needs to stand up a little bit more. Maybe I want the snowman to stand up a little bit more. let's see. The snowman is here. Maybe I'll let him stand up just a little bit more. Be a little bit less at an angle. Which might mean I need to fix that bunny too, but that's okay. The deer is the big one, I feel like. The others aren't too bad. But I just feel like this guy with the angle change, he looks like he's having a little bit of balance trouble, and well, that's just no good. I don't want that deer to fall down. That's a good way to get hurt. It's already easy to slip in the snow. So I'm just gonna scooch the bunnies back on here a little bit. But the rest, I think, is fine, and now I feel like I have a little bit more space up here, and that's nice. And I think that all the mountains are looking pretty good. Let me go get rid of that hard edge in the clouds, because I know that will bother me if I don't just kind of floof it out now. Just right there. Oh, if you're not a cloud, what are you? Did I just... Oh no, you're a bit of snow. Okay, well, I don't like that bit of snow there. And you know, while I'm thinking about it, I should probably get my foreground snow too. So let's do that. I think I'm gonna put it here. I think I want this area to just be a super uninteresting. Best way I can put it. Just there should be like nothing here. Okay. So this will be the foreground snow. I think I might have typoed there, but it doesn't really matter as long as I know what the layer is supposed to do. Okay, and I'll just grab the color from here, and I'm gonna make this really big, and we're gonna get some... it needs to be bigger than that, so I'm gonna use my mouse. Just gonna get some very large flakes. No, even that's too small. Okay, let's get a very, very large brush here. I'm gonna have to override Krita's safety guards here. Oh man, it's not gonna let me. Rude. Okay, well that's fine. I'll just do it like this. I'll dot some snow on here, and I'll just make it really, really big. I could... make Krita let me get a bigger one, but you know, I think this is fine. So we'll just get some snow just way in the foreground here. And then maybe some less foreground snow. Let's do it. I'm going to put the animals in front of this one. And this one I will be a little bit smaller. Again, just to give a couple more layers of snow stuff, and yeah, there we go. I think that's good. Where am I putting the falling snow in the background anyway? Oh yeah, you should definitely be further forward. I'm gonna put you in front of the path. Yeah, there we go. Get lots of nice snow back there. I think I want it to be a little bit more opaque. And I can take some of it back as I please in certain areas, like over here. I think it's a little bit too dark. So I'm just gonna kind of get something like that. And some of the snow I might need to move around a bit. I'm not sure if I like this big blob here, for example. I actually think the location might be okay. I'm just going to blur it a little bit more. Just until it's a little bit more nothing. And no, I think I will move it just a little. I don't know, that's just not really an optimal spot for a bit of snow. Well, we'll put it out on the deer's back here. I think that's a little bit better. All right, now there's stuff. Let's go shade Pippa. I'm gonna go turn off a bunch of the stuff I just did. It's fine. I think I'll hide the animals too, and I will also hide the light layer. And so what I want to try, something that I've just been wanting to try in general, is where I use one layer for shading instead of shading each layer individually. I obviously will have to fix a lot of the stuff on the hair in order to get that to work. But, you know, that's okay. I will get it there, and before I move away, I'm just gonna make it solid skin tone color. I get the feeling I won't entirely do this. The reason that I switched away from this method a really long time ago was I liked having a little bit more control over the color. But it's okay, you know? It's... You start somewhere, and actually, I think it looked better as mostly shadow color, so I'll do it like that. I'm already thinking of just like, man, if I'm gonna do it with one color, it really should be like this. Okay, well let's see what happens. Things are gonna look weird for a little bit, it's fine. So, I'm mostly focusing on the face for now. I get the feeling I'm just gonna go right back into being like, no, please, please give me all the control that I need in order to make things look the way I want them to. But I figure I should try. And yeah, the other problem that I had with doing things like this was also just that I never really liked using the same color for everything. I always liked being able to have a few different colors for things. Yeah, YouTube is silly. Apparently it's also stopping Protox from being able to say hello properly. So, you know, life is just hard. What was I saying? That, yeah, I liked being able to use a bunch of different colors, and I found that shading with only one layer just never quite worked for me. And frankly, it's still not. Okay. I tried. Let's go back to my comfort zone. I will fight my instincts in a different way here. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of the layers here. And I will go back to shading a little bit more normally. And what I'm gonna do is just make things less contrasty. And I'm still gonna start with the skin. I'm still gonna start with the skin. Let's... Yeah, I don't like this variation. So I'm just gonna start over. And I'm just going to be very, very gentle with my brush here. Very, very particular. And the other thing is that I should generally be very, very sparing with detail on the soft anime girls. And basically concentrate it around the eyes and maybe the mouth if I'm feeling like extra special. Okay. So we'll plop a little bit more detail onto the... Oh, wait, I can't make this an eraser. What am I doing? I don't want to erase the head, I just want to change the color. Yes. Not an eraser, just switch color. Okay, there we go. So some of this is gonna look weird until I get the... until I get the eyes and the hair fully shaded. But that's alright. I'll, you know, figure it out. So just concentrate all the detail around the eyes. And maybe the mouth. And don't go too hard. That's what I'm learning. Still just want to make things through here just a little bit softer. Maybe just a little bit more contrast around the nose. I think I'm going to merge the nose layer down again. And I think I can make it a little darker around the mouth as well. I definitely can let this over here be very, very, very soft. I want it a little bit more in dark, so I'm just going to kind of blanket, put some shadow over there, and man, that the low contrast, man. But I actually kind of like it. I think this is working. I just got to get used to it. Put a little bit of light around the eyes here. And at some point, I'll probably go in on things again. Okay. And then I want some harder shadows around the hair. I think I might actually use the airbrush for that instead of the opacity brush, just so this way the edges are really, really, really soft. And then my other shadow color. So this guy is pretty much going to be reserved for what's referred to as occlusion shadows. And those are like the darkest points. Has been for a while. It's deeply unfortunate. This is why I say, it's like I get YouTube's trying to help, but I'd wish they'd stop. I don't want a heavily moderated chat. It's like if I get a genuine spammer, I'll just ban them. It's fine. If I get big enough, though, that I will have trouble dealing with people, then, well, you know, that would just be fantastic. But at that point, you know, then I can enable a little bit more auto-moderation. Like, it's fine. But right now, it's like, I'd like it if they just left me alone. Let me do what I want. I didn't ask for YouTube's opinion on how I should run my stream. Okay. So I'm gonna go and blend in the nose a little bit now. I'm gonna let some of that be just a little bit darker at the bottom here. Not a lot. And I just kinda wanna bring all that in with everything else. Like I said, I'll let the nose be a little bit darker than the areas around it. Okay, but I think this is working. And I'm just gonna keep the zoom at 100%. And just kinda blend things in nice. God, I wish it was just Nightbot doing this, because then I could turn it off. I'm pretty sure it's not, though. I guess it could be. It's like, strictly speaking, I'm not using Nightbot itself. I don't think Stream Elements' bot is Nightbot, is it? It might be. But I'll look into it. Maybe, you know, add a couple of commands that this way, you know, if you guys want to tell me that you're lurking, but you're doing stuff, you can. I'll put like an alert command or something. Maybe that way it'll stop feeling so lonely and useless, and it won't try to be doing auto-moderation stuff for me, but I'm pretty sure it's YouTube, not the chatbot. I don't think I have the chatbot doing anything right now. I just set it up and figured I'd figure out what to do with it later. Okay, but, you know, fighting my urge for heavy contrast is working. I kind of like this. And then I can maybe add just a couple of light spots around her eyes and the nose. But this kind of has that soft feel that I was going for. Okay. So yeah, just have to, you know, fight my instincts a little bit. If you want to be soft, don't go hard on the contrast. Don't do what I'm doing with Malice and make everything just black and white. Be very, very gentle with the color. Just very, very, very gentle. Feels weird, man. Feels so weird. Alright, I'm gonna make it a little bit softer around the mouth here. I kind of want there to be a little bit more contrast around the nose. That will be like the highest contrast point here. I don't want the nose to look too rosy, though. No, thank you. Let's blend out the side here a little bit better. Okay, yeah, that should be good. And I'll make things around there a little bit softer. Okay, yeah, I think I can get behind that. I think that's fine. I still kind of want to blend the mouth a little bit, but I think that the rest is fine. And for the mouth... I already kind of have all this going on a separate layer. I think I'm going to have to merge the mouth down in order to get everything to look right, though, so... I'm scared, but it's okay. It's okay. I drew it once, I can draw it again if things go real bad, but you know, I don't think they will. I just don't want it to look like a harsh line, is the main thing. That's the main thing. And then I'll probably add a little bit of extra light. Just over here. And I'm feeling spicy, so I'm actually going to merge it into the head. And this will all be one layer. We are revisiting how I used to do things long ago. Back in the days where I drew basically on one layer. I'm pretty sure I'm just using the eyelash color here, so if I want to make it darker again, I can. And in general, I kind of want the upper... where the upper lip will be to be a little bit darker than everything else, and where the lower lip will be to be like a little bit lighter. So that's how I'm going to kind of blend things together here. And I'll just keep pawing at it until it is, you know, to my liking. That should give me the kind of effect I want. Yeah, I think that's working pretty well. Let's zoom out again, and yeah, I think it's getting there. I'm gonna make that line a little bit less stark. Maybe a little bit more than that, but I do want to make sure there's some contrast. I don't know, maybe I should try this color instead. I don't know if I like the brown. Something a little more purple. And just lightly go over things. Probably shouldn't zoom in this close, but you know, when have I ever listened to something being maybe a little bit sensible? I got something I want to do. And I'm having trouble making it do, so there we go. It still feels a little messy. I might need to go over it a little bit more, but I think I'm just going to leave it at that for now, because I think what I want to do is kind of get into the hair now. Yeah, so I have ideas on how to handle some of this. Let me go look at my hair reference here. Okay. So, I'm gonna do things a little differently than I normally do. Ooh. And what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna start with like a little bit of a gradient. Normally I don't. Normally I just go right into painting. And I do like doing that, but you know, this is the day of fighting my instincts. So I'm gonna try some things, and I just want a light little gradient down here, kind of around the ends. Normally I do the gradient at the end, but here I'm gonna do it right at the beginning. And then I kind of want to pick a lighter color. Let me see, do I have a lighter color picked already? Where am I doing hair? Here. I don't. I just have the dark. Okay. So let's go up to my swatch, and I'm gonna pick a light color too. Not the specular highlight, which, you know, I should probably add in as well. I'll do both. It's fine. That's probably closer to specular highlight color, but it is a good color for that. I want something just a little bit more muted. Her hair is very light though, so maybe I don't actually. Maybe this is fine. As long as I use it very sparingly. You know, it could be. Alright, let's go find out. I'm gonna put these in a group. Okay, I'm still gonna put the highlights on a separate layer just because I like doing that. Gonna pull up my Pippa reference so that this way I can see where how her hair is structured again. Because I don't have it all shaded yet. So the structure is still a little bit mysterious. And I just want to add a really big light right here where it's hitting the sun. I want to go all in on that highlight there. And some of these will probably have to change a bit. It's fine. I generally have to change them a little after I shade things, but well, we'll start like this for now. And yeah, even with a relatively soft style, this actually looks okay. So, that's good. I'm happy. Let's make the one on this side pretty big too. We'll just let this entire side be just like super bathed in light. And then over here there'll be some, but there's going to be a lot less over here. So something like that. Okay, and I'll deal with these lower parts later. But let's see, I also kind of want to just add a kind of light gradation over here. Okay. Now for the scary part, let's put in some shadows. Because yeah, I kind of have them started. Like I plopped some down here, but I'm not actually sure if that's correct. So let's kind of get rid of some of those and just get everything nice and gradated there. Okay. So I can tell that I want a shadow here. And over here, I think that the shadow that I have here looks good, so I will keep it. I'll go ahead and grab my base hair color, which is here. This is for the ears, if I recall, so don't want to use that. And I'll just make certain areas a little bit lighter. Kind of blend things in a little bit. And everything is just going to be super soft, and I am going to be lost, confused, and perhaps mildly uncomfortable. But it's okay. I think this is a perfect image for trying to go for a softer atmosphere. Like, I mean, look at that little face. It's not even done, and I already think it looks pretty cute. Okay, but yeah, I think this is doing what I want. Basically, what I'm trying to do is I'm putting in the shadows, and then I'm like blending them out up at the top. I'm just kind of doing it all in a motion or two. Put a little bit of shadow over here. And I'm just kind of blending some of this into nothing. I think I need a few more hard edges, though. Because, man, they are really getting lost in there. Yeah, I'm gonna have to pay very, very close attention to the various occlusion shadows and stuff. Okay. And then I have some strands that I never drew. So I should do that now. So we got, like, a little guy kind of coming down here. Like this. And then another one kind of coming down on top of it. I was mostly focused on the outside there, so I will have to put some of those details back in. This is working, though. This is absolutely working. Okay, let me look at hair reference again. Okay. Gotta look at a few more. I just kind of want to see how they do highlights. And man, do they make them a lot smaller than I do. So okay, I'm gonna try to wrangle these highlights a little bit. No, I'm not. I want to get the structure of the hair in first. The highlights really do make everything look so much better, though. So you know what? I'm gonna leave them there for now. I can see why I wanted to try to wrangle them just now, but yet it's not yet time. It is not. But it will be soon. And let's see, over here, I don't actually think we see the side of that. So I should be turning it into kind of the mid-tone here. So let's just kind of buff that out. Oh, wait, that's the ear color. Shoot. I just made that mistake again. There we go. If anything, I think this side should be just a little bit lighter. So I'll kind of get that in, and yeah, let's go ahead and make the things over there actually look good. So there'll be a shadow here and here. Oh, that's right, I still have the highlight color selected. Not quite what I'm going for. And I'll just soften things up a little. Here I'm using the basic opacity brush as opposed to the airbrush. I probably could use the airbrush here, but I don't think I want the edges to be quite that soft. I think that might take away a little bit too much. So I'm not using that one. Okay, and then how's that gonna work? There at Pippa's hair again. Okay, I think in order to understand that, I kind of want to get some of the detail here. So I'm going to kind of start coloring this a little bit more like this. And then I will get some of that really dark shadow color And what is referred to as just occlusion shadows, which is where basically no light hits at all. So most of this is going to be in shadow. I'm probably going to add a few light parts to it. But I think that the occlusion shadows are just really, really important here. So I'm going to spend some time really making sure that I like where those are. The highlights are kind of in the wrong spot here. I will need to fix those. But I think they're fine enough for now. And I kind of want this edge to be a little bit harder. Right now I think it's fading a little bit too much into nothing. Okay, so something like that. This side is going to have bigger ones. Over here, I'll keep it a little thinner. And then just some areas where I think it should be a little bit more textured and hair-like. Okay, yeah, something like that. I'm gonna go back to the main hair now. Actually, no, I'm not. I still got one more thing I want to do here. There are some parts that I think should be a little bit lighter. So I'm gonna go ahead and plop those in. Kind of over here, too. Kind of let the colors match up a little bit better. You know, I had a blush layer. I'm gonna... Okay, that's wrong. I have to do that later. I'm gonna go back to just finishing the hair. Let's try not to let my brain get distracted. It's doing its best, but it is very, very easy to get distracted. Okay. I'm not gonna worry about shadows and the ribbons yet. I just kind of want to get a lot of the basics in. I should probably do the ribbons before I do too much more, though. Okay, I can get behind this. This looks nice. I like this. And I just bring this strand all the way up here. Are you a hole, or is... Oh, it's a bit of dirt on my screen, never mind. Yeah, I thought there was a weird texture there, but I'm just like, oh wait. No, that's not on the picture, that's just my monitor. Don't worry about it. Okay. Let's see, how's this looking so far? It's definitely unfinished, but I think it's starting to come along. And it definitely feels soft. Okay. I think I'm gonna go ahead and do the ribbons, because they are like the topmost layer of everything here. So it's like we have the ribbons, and the earmuffs are kind of behind this hair, but the ribbons are clearly on top. So I want to make sure that they're all like shaped nicely and looking good. I actually don't think they look half bad right now. They're like obviously not finished, but okay, so I got rid of all the pink. She's just going to be bald for a second. Don't worry about it. While I just go in and make sure that the ribbons are nice and smooth. That everything is to my liking there, and I'll go ahead and shade them too. I'll just go ahead and finish them off. I think ribbons like this will be another excellent place to kind of test out restraint. God, restraint is hard. Do I have ribbons on my swatch yet? They'd be like clothes color, so this and this. Yep, I do. Okay, good. Okay. Okay. So let's see here. I just kind of want to... No, I want this side to be bigger. These are really big, fluffy ribbons. I think the center should be a little bit more over this way, so I'm going to kind of change how this is being constructed there, and I think this looks fine. And I'm going to put these details on at the end. I do think that they had to be there for now, just so I could have a general idea of what was happening. It's always funny to me to see the patterns that come on the face when you put on hair shadows, but then remove the hair. She's got little whiskers now. Okay. But I do think that these guys looked pretty good already. And I'll just plop in those white details a little bit later. Alright, this ribbon is shaped pretty terribly. So I think it'll feel a lot better once it's all drawn properly. I guess I should probably have the hair for this, huh? Just so I know where it'll be going. Where am I going with this? It's a little bit easier to tell when I can actually see everything. Okay, and then maybe something like this. Yeah, I said it was going back behind that strand of hair, which I do think makes sense. And I also think it's kind of cute, so I'll keep it like that. And since we're seeing her slightly from above, I do think that I need to have the upper part of both sides of the ribbon like this. Let it kind of open up to the world. And go from there. So let's see here. Let's see here. I like the way this side is folded, but not really this side. But I think that might just be because half of it's not visible. And it's making my brain freak out. Let me think about whether or not this looks correct. Yeah, and then this is going to go behind this strand here. I think I cut off too much there. And this little strand is going to be mostly in light. So I kind of like being able to have a little something there to make it a little bit easier to see. And what I think I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take like the sun color back here and kind of cover a lot of this. I might end up doing that with a lot of the hair facing this way and possibly even this ear. And just kind of fade it into nothing. Okay. But I think that's good for the general shape of the ribbon, so now I should just be able to shade in peace. So let's see. This, I think it's mostly fine to leave like that. I'm just gonna kind of turn things a little bit, so I'm gonna soften up this edge here. And then, you know, I want a few shadows here and there. I will, once again, show great restraint. It'll be difficult, but I think I can manage. Restraint, perhaps not my strong suit when it comes to shadows and colors. I do like bright colors. They are lovely. So I'll just add a few shadows there. This side is not going to get as many. And I'll just fully render these ribbons. And call it good. And I'll do the hair before the other things, because the ear muffs themselves are kind of go behind the hair. And I think her ears do too, so should be safe to do all this. And then I kind of want these ribbons here to fade to nothing. I want one hard edge and then just fading out. So something kind of like that, and then I just kind of pull it out. And that should make it look like it's being pulled over here. And this is one area where I think I actually do want it to be at its darkest. But over here, I don't think I need it to be this dark. It does need to be a little darker. And I'll have some slight hints of this ribbon being pulled too, but they won't be as strong. And I'll kind of just let them fade out much sooner. Much, much sooner. Okay. So now I'm going to grab some of this yellow and just very lightly brush it over the edge here. And I think that's good. So let me go grab my ribbon color again. Oh wait, no, the ribbon color is just right here. Perfect. And now I can get these little puff balls and the little ribbon coming off here. This edge I want to be pretty hard. It is a cast shadow. So I'll let it be something like that. And I'll add like a little tiny bit of gradation on the top here because I want to make it look like it's going away from us. And then on this side, I actually want it all to be the base color. Well, that'd be a little darker up there, but it's just all going to be the base color, and then I'm going to make it yellow like I did up there. Okay. On this side, I'm not going to give as many details. I think that's all it needs, actually. At least until I add, you know, these little guys, the little X's on the bunny eyes. But this guy will get a little bit more. And I'm just going to blob. This is like the one area where I consider blobs in my art appropriate. When you're trying to make things fluffy. That's like the one place things can look a little bit blobby and be fine. Okay. I think even this might be a little bit too much contrast for here, so I'm going to take it back just a little. There we go. And besides that, I think that looks fine. So I'm going to go take the white color, which I do think I am just using the snow color here. No, I'm not using the snow color. I'm using the blue from the outfit, I think. Do I have a swatch for that? I think that's you? Yeah. And I'll just blob a little around here. It looks like I don't have a shadow color picked for you yet, so let's do that. I'm still gonna pick shadows in the usual way, where I just, you know, set things to overlay or multiply. My brush to overlay or multiply depending on my mood, and pick a purple and color on top. And I'll even pick the same kind of colors that I normally do, so a little bit contrastier than what I'd probably want for the overall style here, but that's okay. That will be the darkest point. That'll just be the darkest point. And because I'm using an opacity brush, I don't have to use the darkest color. I mean, I guess even if I wasn't using an opacity brush, I wouldn't have to use the darkest color, but it's okay. Normally I do because I like the high contrast, so. But here, I'm just gonna keep things very, very gentle. Just very, very, very gentle. I kind of want things to kind of fade into the pink as well. So what I will do is I'm going to get the basics down, and then I'll kind of go over things with the pink. Just like around the edges. Kind of like that. Okay. And now I can make it yellow. Okay. So there we go. I think that's what I'm going to do for that ribbon. And I think that looks okay. Do I think it looks okay? I think it'll look better once I add the lighting. I'm feeling like things might be a little bit stiff here, but let's see. I'm gonna turn her body back on and just give things another look over. No, it should be fine. Okay. Yeah, no, I think a lot of things will look better once I add like extra strands of hair and stuff, because right now, I don't know, something about her's feeling a little bit plasticky. And I'm not quite sure how to fix it, or even entirely what's wrong. It's okay, this is the kind of things that happens when you try new things. Everything feels weird. And everything looks weird. Alright, so let's get this ribbon now. And hopefully with this, should have something pretty nice looking here. For the record, for most of this, I am using a hard-edged brush. I do think it looks a little bit better than what I would get from the airbrush. Let me just compare. So I did that one with the hard-edged brush. This one I'll do with the airbrush. I can probably just do it in very few strokes. Just because I do know how to use Krita's airbrush. I love it. I think it is a fantastic little thing. I don't know, maybe the airbrush does look better. Okay. It's okay, this is why I try things. But yeah, I liked the way the airbrush looked better. It might just be that I'm more familiar with how to use it, but if I can get the hard edges that I want anyway, then, you know, why not? This side, I want to be very, very soft with it. And I'll go ahead and once again kind of put a little bit of softness around this edge, just so it's not quite so stark. And I think I'll even add a little bit of lightness kind of up here. Kind of show where it all wraps around. I think that makes sense. Okay. For the fluff, though, can I do that with airbrush? I'll compare it to how things went on the other way. Okay, yeah, I can. This is fine. Once again, I'm just gonna blob. Just blob, blob, blob. Get the little gap between the ears in there, and I think those look pretty fluffy. I think that looks very, very fluffy. I'm trying to make sure that I'm dabbing, just rapidly pushing the pen up and down, as opposed to sliding the pen across the tablet. Just so that this way it looks like a bunch of independent little circles kind of coming together to make this kind of shape. I kind of want to fade this a little bit. I think it's a little bit too much. And I think I want a little gradient up there. With a little bit of the dark end over on this side. Just a little. Only a little. Definitely don't want to overdo it. Okay, and now I can add in the white parts here. Okay, I actually like the other brush for this part specifically. A little bit more firm. Man, my kids are derping hard upstairs. Sounds like they're having a good time. All right. Let me get the shadow color there and just kind of plop in a few shadows here. And then I'll go back over it with the pink. Yeah, there we go. How do I feel about that? You need some light. Oh yeah, I know why I did that. Because I was going to pick a light color. Okay, let's pick the light color. I was actually thinking about that, and I was just like, yeah, I'll do it in a second after I kind of finish off everything I want to do with these colors here. But now I finished everything, so I can add my light colors. Yeah, and I think you guys need a little bit of attention too. I just kind of want a little highlight here. I want them to be a little bit shinier looking. I'm not going to put any more on this one. I don't actually mind kind of fading that into nothingness. It's just supposed to be kind of going out into the background. But I do want to add just a little bit of light over on this side. There we go. So now I should be able to go in and just plop on some nice shiny lights here. Just trying to get the shape the way I want it, but yeah, that seems alright. And hopefully that'll be the final thing. I just really need to bring out the prettiness in the ribbons here. Okay. Add just a little bit of light through there too. Okay, that seems alright. And now I think I can go back to the hair and actually put in the cast shadows from the ribbons there. I think those will be dark, so I can pick my kind of dark shadow there. There'll be the occlusions in there, where no light reaches at all. Kind of like right around here. Trying to be very sparing with that, because that is one area where my instinct is to go much harder than I think I should. Pressing pretty hard because these are cast shadows. And I'll have to adjust the highlights there, so I should actually make sure that I have everything currently covered by highlight looking the way I want it. Because I will be adjusting them. Okay, that should be good. It's just not yet time. And that's okay. Alright, I'm gonna take a look at Pippa's hair again. And I think that there should be some, like, dark spots kind of where these guys join. So I'll have something kind of like this, where and they'll gradually get a little bit lighter as it continues down, but up here they do need to be dark. And I just want to carve that shape out. Honestly, I'm always amazed by how hard of an edge Krita's airbrush can get when you press really hard. I was severely underestimating that earlier, but it looks pretty good there. Okay. Then over on this side, we'll have a little bit like through here. Kind of let it join together with the hair down there. Something like this. And again, I will have to adjust the highlights, so I guess I should make sure that I like it without the highlights here. Make sure it is all connecting in properly. And just try to get it nice and soft there. We kind of blend out over here too. Kind of blend it out into just regular shadows there. And I do want to make sure that I don't get rid of all my nice little darks through all of this. They are very necessary. The shadows are probably some of the most important parts, so yeah, you can't make things look nice without at least a degree of contrast. So I'm trying to find that right balance between the very soft and subtle kind of look that I'm going for versus, you know, making sure that there's actually enough contrast to make things look okay. Surprisingly hard balance to strike. But man, just looking at this, I'm feeling like I'm a little afraid of my shadows here, and I definitely shouldn't be. Never be afraid of your shadows. They are important. They will help you make your art look so much better. Alright, let's divide up this hair a little bit more. At some point, I kind of want to get the skin color over the bangs to make them look a little bit more transparent, but not yet. And I'm pretty sure I've gotten rid of half the initial gradient I started with, so I do think just with the way I do things, because I don't like to use a bunch of multiply layers and whatnot, I should just do such things at the end. I don't know. Let me see. I just feel like it's blurry, so I'm gonna try to use my good old hard round brush that I use for like everything and kind of paint things in a little bit more firmly and then go back over it, I think. It's okay, this is a process science. Just figuring out a good way to do things in order to get the effect that I want, and I always like the idea of being able to do more things with art. I know I talked a little bit about last time. I don't want to pick a style. I want to do all of them. I want to be able to just do all of the things. Make things look however I want them to be. However I want it to be. Okay, so I feel like I brought her bangs out a little bit better there now. So hopefully I can kind of start blending things. And it won't look quite so messy. Let me see. Just gonna take another look at things. This might be another case where I'm overcomplicating everything again, and I do think that is probably true. Okay, I'm gonna look at Pippa's hair here. And yeah, I think that's exactly what's going on. So I'm gonna try to simplify things a little bit. I think being able to go back and add the gradients at the end will help. For now, I just kind of want things to look a little bit less muddy. I can tell it's been a while since I've done anything softer. Okay, I'm gonna pull that back a little, just keep it very light. Maybe not that light, but gonna pull those shadows out again. Thinking very hard about how I want all this to happen. Thinking very hard about where the darkest shadows are gonna go. And the structure of hair and whatnot. There we go. I think that looks okay. And then once I add just a little bit of gradation down here, and a little bit of gradation up here, and over here, I think that'll do it. Let me turn the highlights back on. Yeah, the highlights will save this, I think. I just want to make sure that I have all the hair separated out first, before I get into too much in the highlights. I don't think it makes sense to do it in the other order. Okay. Let me get a little bit of the occlusion in here, so the darkest points. I think there's going to be a dark point just right there. But that's the only spot. And even then, I don't think I want it to be that dark. Okay, I'm gonna believe in the highlights for now. Everything feels a bit weird, but, you know, highlights make everything better. So, right now I will try to trust and revisit it if it still looks bad after I get the highlights in. So right now I'm just gonna kind of focus on structure of the hair, and I'm not gonna worry about the rest. Okay. Not gonna worry about it. I'm at least gonna try to not worry about it. It's hard. I am a little bit prone to worrying about things, as you guys might have noticed. But I will try. Okay. So I'm gonna separate out the hair here. And I don't know, do I want more little strands? I don't know, I don't think it'll really feel like Pippa if I make too many little strands. I feel like I can over here and over here. Hold on, did I color? No, I have that all right. Okay, sure, let's do a little bit over there. Welcome back. What'd you have to eat? Okay, let's get some of those dark areas. Let's see, you I think could actually afford to be a little bit more mid-tone. All right. Okay, I think that's looking all right. I think this side will look a little bit better once I add a little bit more gradient to it, so I'm just going to kind of move on over here. Kind of clean things up a little. I think it's mostly looking okay, though. And just plop everything through here. Then I'll want to add some more shadows from the ribbon, I think. I kind of covered up a few of them. Something like that. Well, I mean, it's fine as long as you're eating food. You don't need to eat fancy things. I certainly don't eat fancy things. I don't think I've eaten out since my daughter was born like 6 years ago. So I guess there's been a few times somebody else has bought food for me, but it doesn't happen that often. Alright, I think before I do any more, I'm gonna wrangle those highlights and see if this fixes all my problems. I am still very hopeful that it will. And at least for the start, I'm still gonna use my hard round brush. And I'll see how that all works out. Gotta be careful not to draw on top of the cast shadow from the ribbon. And I'm gonna try making them a little smaller than I normally do in a lot of places. just as science, see how I feel about it. Always gotta try things. Oh, I don't have you clipped. That's why. Okay. Oh yeah, always try things. So for now, I'm just gonna try to get them on. And I'm not gonna try too hard to make them neat just yet. I just want to make sure that they're following the flow of the hair nicely. And then once they are, I can make everything a little bit neater. Okay, I want the light from the sun over here to be like really, really bright. So I'm doing it like this. Or I'm tracing a lot of the hair here. And then I'll do that less and less as I go on. So like here's not going to get a lot of the tracing. I'll put a little larger line there because I can. Over here gets a little bit of a big one there, and then I'm going to let it be nice and small. All the way into kind of the back here. Okay. So I think that's a start, and then I just gotta figure out how to properly blend all that, and I have some thoughts. So I'll see what happens. Let's just go ahead and smooth this out for now. Just usual Planckera smoothing methods with my lovely, lovely hard brushes. Oh, I missed them already. It's just so funny to me that I say it like that because, you know, the idea of really only painting with hard brushes like this only came as an experiment of just kind of imitating some stuff that my husband liked. I just wanted to try it, and suddenly it just became the norm. It's really kind of funny. And then I remember that my minimalist style came from somebody saying on a forum that I was on at one point. They held kind of a for fun weekly art contest thing just to get people drawing, and one of the themes was basically, hey, draw a picture using only 3 colors, and you know, and kind of this modeled after something that this one artist did, and I was like, oh, okay, that sounds pretty hard, but I'll give it a try, and I liked it, so I just kept doing it. So, this was much closer to the norm way back when. Oh man, how times change. They can change very quickly. It's kind of scary sometimes. But this is why I want to try to reclaim some of that, because while I was always big on the contrast, always really, really liked the contrast, I did used to just blend my shading very thoroughly. Alright, let's see here. But man, does she feel a little plasticky right now. I'm not quite sure what to do about it. I remember having this problem when I was a tiny painter as well. And I don't remember how I fixed it. I don't. I don't know. Maybe I'll just have a plasticky Pippa here. It might be fine. then I don't know, do I want a little bit just right here? No, I don't think I do. I like it over there. But I think this is fine. So what is making you feel so plasticky? Like, I don't feel it in the face. The face seems fine. I do feel it a little bit in the eyes. So I guess I should say her skin feels fine. But I feel it really, really strongly in the hair. Even before the highlights. Okay, well, I'll do some of my thoughts there. I'm gonna do it on a new layer because I'm scared. Oops, no, you should definitely be that one. I'm scared, so I'm gonna kind of try all the things I want on the new layer. And I'll see if it does anything for me. I'm just kind of blending part of the highlight here. And then I want to add like a little bit of dark underneath. So that's what I'm trying right now. See how that shakes out. Right now, just kind of blending the top here by just painting with the highlight color on another layer. It'll give me a lot of flexibility to try things and just... If it doesn't work, I can try it again or try something else. Okay, that seems alright. And then I just kind of wanted a slightly darker color. So slightly darker than you, but not quite this. So I'll take this color, I'll make it slightly more purple. Slightly darker. A little bit more saturated. And then I'll just put just a tiny bit of a dark spot underneath. I've seen a lot of people do this to decent effect, so I wanted to try it. I've never been able to get it to work. For me, it always ends up looking a little bit weird. But I wanted to give it a try here. I probably should have done it on a separate layer. But it's fine. I actually think this is looking pretty okay here. Okay. Yeah, I dig it. Alright, and the last thing is I wanted to try to put a little bit of the skin tone. Where's the skin tone? This is you. On the bangs here. Maybe a little bit more the shadow skin tone. Kinda blend it with that. I hate it. I don't like it at all. Okay. Another thing of, I see a lot of people do it, but I've never been able to get it to work. Let me see, if I want you to feel a little bit more transparent, then... I don't know, maybe I can try... I'm gonna duplicate the eyelash layer and just put it on top of the hair and reduce the opacity. Another thing, you know, I don't normally do, but might make the hair look a little bit softer and more transparent here. Okay. Yeah, it does. That'll be for later. I want to do the eyelashes first. I want to color them. And in that case, I should probably give her eyebrows. So I'll give her eyebrows once I go back to working on her eyes. And I guess her hair doesn't look bad. Okay, let me go look at my examples again. I just feel like some places are a little bit light. So what I might do... Yeah, because most people, like, use lines to separate hair, and I don't have that. So... what I think I might do is actually just... take, like, a really dark color. I'll try the eyelash color. And let's see, I do like this effect. Okay, I lied. I like most of it. I don't like this. This is not working for me. But everything else, I think everything else is working pretty well. So I'm gonna merge that down to the rest of her hair. And I'm gonna make the highlights a little shiny. I do like this effect a lot. It's really easy to do, too. There's just a little bit of a Gaussian blur. And it makes it really shiny, and I like it a lot. Oh yeah, I forgot that you were part of this. I'll do these ones on a new layer, since I haven't done this hair yet. Okay. I'll merge them all together at the end. It's fine. Okay, so I'm gonna get a new layer because I'm scared, and then I just want to add a little bit more separation in some places. Oh, I still have you set to erase. Whoops. It's because I don't know, man. Oh yeah, that's not working at all. What about with a harder brush? Okay, the color's no good. The idea might be, though, so I'm gonna do a little bit more. And just kinda try it out. I'm gonna be a little bit messy. I was trying to be neat for a second there, but it's taking too long, so I'm just gonna be a little bit messy. And I just kind of want to hit some key places between strands. Something like that, and then I don't know. Let's make the color better. Yeah, I can get behind that. Does that make things look a little better? I think so. Okay. I'll probably end up erasing certain parts of this, but I feel like I have a leg to stand on here. So let's just put a little bit more separation between the strands. And hopefully this fixes some stuff that I didn't like. I can't say goodbye to contrast completely. It just can't be done. Contrast is too important. Contrast is extremely important. And I feel like it's not me if I don't amp the contrast up to 11, so at least 11. This is too hard, though. I definitely need to soften up certain spots. But I can do that. It's fine. Some spots might stay like this, but for the most part, nah. We're just gonna pretend like I do line art for a second here. Until I am satisfied with the level of contrast. Feels weird to just be painting hair with the blend mode layer as opposed to just directly, though. I can see the appeal. I don't even have to worry about color variation here. I can just add it like it's easy. No. I want the... I want the shadow on the other side. There we go. Let's shape that a little nicer. And then I'll figure out how to blend it. I'm not quite sure what that's going to look like yet. I'm really not. I might even want a darker color than this. Like, I don't know, maybe I should take my purple and set it to multiply or something. Maybe. I'll find out shortly. Okay, but that's already, like, a lot better. And it still looks weird, so that's actually a really good sign. So anyway, let's see. I'm gonna set you to multiply, and then I'm gonna make you purple. I want to see if that looks better. No, you actually looked a little bit better with the brown. Okay. Yeah. I'll put the brown back. Alright, I think I still want a darker color than that, though. So I guess this is where I just play with hue saturation for a little bit. Let's see what happens. I might add a little bit of this to the ribbons, too, now that I think about it. Ah, hello there, Solar Grunt. Welcome. Okay. I think this color's decent. I don't know, I'm having trouble figuring out exactly which part looks best here. But I do think I like it really dark. I wonder if just black is kind of what I want. But no, I like it kind of colorful. Somewhere over there. Yeah, definitely somewhere over here. Somewhere kind of grayish. Okay. Oh yeah, and let me get that color here. Oh yeah, that's super close to black, huh? Fascinating. Okay. I just realized I didn't put it over here, and it definitely needs it through here, too. This is just one of the hazards of not using line art. Sometimes I kinda gotta do some manual separation here. I don't know, it's all just kind of blending together and blah. Alright, so let's figure out how to blend this. I'm just gonna start by erasing some of the edges with my airbrush and see if that kind of gets me what I want. It may or may not. No, this is so far so good, I think. I'll just take it back until it's kind of doing what I want here. A little bit more of a gradation. Okay, yeah, I think that looks pretty good. I might change the color in a couple of spots, though. It's like I'm not sure if I like the orange through there. I think it's fine up here, but I don't really like it over there. So I guess I'll just select these parts and try to find a color I like better there. We'll see what I find. what color is best for you guys? I kind of like this one. Okay. I will go with that. This might be one of those things where it changes for every area that I shade, just whenever I need to separate it out, and that's fine. Okay, and then I think from here I'd actually like to add just a little bit more hair texture. And now I still feel like it's a little bit lacking. But I feel like I have a little bit more room to do it now, because I have those clear points of division there, so I can just kind of add a few strands here and there and see what happens. Just see what happens, and I don't even have to worry about overwriting my darker shadows there, just because of how I did this. As always, you know, I consider hair worth a little bit of extra effort. I think hair is really important on the animes. So I do like trying to put a little bit of extra effort into it. Maybe even more than a little bit. That seems alright. I think I'd like a little bit more contrast on her face. To outline the hair, so I'll go do that as well. And then, you know, while I'm here, maybe I'll do some of the blush on her cheeks and whatnot. I don't know, even this color, I'm not sure if it's enough. I'm actually not. I think I can see why so many of these softer styles use line art, even though I don't. But that is one thing I observed while looking at a lot of people's art. Is just that they tend to have more clear lines. And yeah, I think I'm seeing firsthand why that's the case. It's actually pretty hard to make things happen without them. Something to keep in mind for the future, I guess. I'll still try to make sure that it's all nice and clear. Oh, I don't have the layer locked. That's actually a problem. I will try. So let's clean all this up a little. And it looks like I did some stuff with the hair not locked. So that's also kind of unfortunate. Yeah, I did. Well, shoot. Okay, let me clean some of this residue here. This should not be here. I hate it when I do that, when I think the layer's locked, but it's not, so I just get a bunch of stuff outside the lines, and it's terrible. Well, I think I got most of it, so it should be fine. I'm not sure what's going on right there, though. What is that? Is that part of the hair? No. Rogue highlight? No, not even. Rogue earmuff. Okay. Better fix that. Alright. Let's get that contrast that I want in there. Look, just because I'm fighting my contrast instincts doesn't mean I want none. I definitely want things to be clear, highly visible, and very pretty. I just don't want to overdo it, as I am prone to doing. Alright, just gonna clean up the shadows here a little bit. And I think everything should look pretty nice with that. Yeah, I like her little face. I think it's working. I gotta work on the mouth a little bit again. Yeah, I think that looks pretty okay. I could get behind this. I'm definitely gonna have to find a different balance at some point. Because I don't know, things still feel a little plastic to me. But I don't think it looks bad. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing with the ribbons that I did with the hair. I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit more contrast. Just, I don't know, man. It's not quite working. So, but I think when I add this little bit of extra contrast, it'll work. So it was, you know, like a near black color set to overlay. And I really only feel like I need it in a couple of spots here. Mostly just around here and then a little bit in there, but I think I'm going to do that with the airbrush. I don't like this color. I will pick a different one, but it's a start. So I'm just going to go ahead and, you know, start there. Over here, I think should be more devoid of contrast, so it's fine. You know what? No. I don't think that needs it there. I just want a little bit around the eye X's. I don't even think I'm gonna put any inside the ears or anything. Just around the eye X's. Okay. And yeah, let's go ahead. I'm gonna get the airbrush and add the little bit that I think needs to be in here. And then I'll figure out a better color. I mean, multiply is not going to work here, obviously, because it's near black. But it'll let me try the purple. Purple didn't work out last time. Maybe it'll be fine here. And if it's not, it'll be an easier color to mess around with. So yeah, I do think it needs to be a lot darker. I kind of like it out toward the pink there. So I think that will look good once I kind of blend it a little bit better. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and start with in here. I just want in here to be a little bit more contrasty. This should look good once I kind of smooth it out a bit and make it a little bit more of a gradation effect. Let's see, I want a little bit more here, I think. Just a little. Okay, but now I can start kind of blending it all a little. So let's get this nice and smooth. I'll be going back and forth a lot here, I think, until it's all perfectly smooth. And what this is telling me is that I wanted to go really low contrast on the face, but I don't think that's necessarily true elsewhere. So I'm probably not going to be quite as afraid to put shadows on like everywhere else. I do think her hair looks pretty good though. And I'm still not sure how I feel about this being quite so liney here. I don't know, man. That's probably going to be something I mess around with. It's just going to be something I have to mess around with. These were definitely a bit strong. I like them being there, though. So I think that'll be very effective, you know, once I kind of blend them out properly. I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit back here. Kind of get some of that fluff going. So I'm gonna blob it in. And probably blob it out as well. At least around these little X's. This one I managed to get looking pretty okay without that, but I'll do a little bit for that one too. I wouldn't want anyone to feel left out. Okay, and then here, I'm gonna bounce around a bit, it's fine. As long as I hit all the areas, it'll be fine. Okay. So now I'll take it back here. Once again, I'm just trying to make things a little fluffy. But I do think that helped the ribbons a lot. And I think I'll go back to the hair and work on the cast shadows on the hair as well. Just where the ribbons are casting shadows. And then I think I want just blanket darker over here. Here too. Oh, are you not? Okay, you're not clipped. That's fine. I can clip it now. Okay. Yeah, I think that looks better. So let's go revisit the hair here. The hair has a different one. I'm gonna go ahead and just add this to the swatch. I'll put it over here in just generic shadow colors, just so I can pick it up at any time. I'm probably never gonna remember which one any of these are, but that's fine. I'll figure it out. Someday, maybe I'll label my swatches, but it's fine. Man, it feels weird to be using a green on her hair like this. But it's the color that looked the best, so I'm not gonna doubt it. I'm not gonna doubt it. I saw with my eyes that this was the color that looked best. I did, and I believe. It worked really, really well. Okay, and from here I can just add, you know, occasional little strandy bit. It'll be great. It really will be. And, you know, maybe back here I just kind of blanket put things in shadow a little bit more. I'm gonna have, like, proper atmospheric lighting at the end, so I'm not too worried about doing that right now. Not really. It'll make sense later. But yeah, I guess that looks good. Yeah, I think I can be happy with that. Let's see, let's go do these lower bits of hair. So that one's a bit interesting because this is like a gradient hair, and you know, in true me fashion, I think I'm just gonna do the gradients at the end. So I'm still just gonna color it the normal hair color. And I'll go back to this pink over here after. Oh, I'm on the wrong layer. Okay, so I've already got the upper part shaded, so I just got to get the lower parts here. And rather than do the gradient at the beginning, I don't think that worked very well for me. I will do the highlights first, actually, but besides that, I think I'm just gonna go... No, I'm not gonna do the highlights first. I changed my mind. I am gonna go block out basic shadows. So with the light source coming here, I'll start from this side. And then, you know, all this will come up here like this. And I'll just gently brush it all in. Being extra gentle with everything. Still not convinced it's a good idea, but it's what I decided to do for this picture. So we'll see what happens here. And if it doesn't work out here, you know, I'll draw another picture in a softer style and until I figure out how to do it. And that's just how it is. Call iteration. And sometimes it takes some time, unfortunately. I tend to be impatient about these things, but, you know, you gotta figure it out. And the only way to figure it out, in my opinion, is to draw pictures. I could draw simpler pictures. I absolutely could. Iterate faster. But I like this picture. Even if it doesn't do quite what I want. I mean, the picture of Rooney Roos that I drew didn't quite do what I wanted either. But I still really like that picture. I think it is a great picture. It came out excellent. It just... It was lacking a thing. And there were still things I can do to improve it. And that's just how art is. It's okay. This is why I never do studies. I just draw the thing. And try to incorporate whatever it is that I want to try into them. Takes longer. But I draw a lot more nice pictures this way. But I don't know, at some point I legit might just do some smaller things. I'm hoping that I can... maybe not, like, proper Inktober pace, but I do want to just draw some small pictures just to get some time lapses up more regularly. Maybe not every day, but it'd be nice to do it, you know, every other day or 2 or 3 times a week. That sounds pretty doable. Okay, I think that's a good place to start. Let me get the darkest spots here. So we'll have some cast shadows from these guys, and the hair here. You're probably going to want some more contrast there. That's fine, I can do that. Alright, and highlight. I'm gonna have to do it on a new layer. Because I'm gonna need to blur it at some point. But I decided I wanted a little bit more highlight coming down here, actually. If I'm not gonna use lines to help me with contrast, I gotta be very, very deliberate about how I separate things. And I think that there's still some things I can do just to give the appearance of a little bit of extra softness. So I'll definitely try that too. Okay. Here we go. I'm not gonna worry about making it smooth yet. I just needed to get there. Figure out how I'm gonna separate a bunch of this hair. I want it to be nice and thick up here. We're just gonna have a super thick and juicy highlight there, or it's just facing the mountain light. And it'll be really pretty. And then down here, I think I want less highlights. And I'll still put a little bit over here, but there's not gonna be a lot going on over there. Probably a little bit on this strand. And a little bit over here, I think. But I think this is where it stops. Yeah, that looks good to me. So I'll go ahead ahead and smooth it all out. And then I'll do my little highlight effects. And I will blur it and make all that nice. I think I'm gonna break it apart just a little bit right here. I want to keep a little bit, like right there. Where these two strands are connected, because I do think that this will be just heavily bathed in light, and it'll look great if I do it like that. So, I'll do it like that. Okay, and then I'm just gonna get the shapes nice here. Get them all doing what I want them to do, and I want this to taper off as it kind of curls here. Because I think the light will stop hitting it there. And I don't mind these little shapes. These little guys are fine. Okay, so this side. This side's a little bit harder to see because there's like some blight stuff back there, so I should do something about that actually. I can see a little bit better with her body on at this point. This side, I will not let it overlap that shadow. This side doesn't get that luxury. Okay. So now just a matter of smoothing this and getting it all to hit the light right. I'm just thinking about how it's turning and whatnot. Well, all the usual stuff. Now I want to make sure that there's none where I think the shadow should be. Always a little bit easier said than done, but it's nothing a little cleaning won't help. And I do think that these lights will help separate the strands a little bit. So that'll be nice, and I think these little guys are fine. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. I'm still not quite sure how to feel about this stylistically, if I'm being honest. I'm not sure if I like this kind of thing. But I don't think it looks bad, so I think I'm just gonna see what this method will give me, and if I don't like it, I'll try something else some other time. But I was hoping I would like it a little bit more, so I'm a little sad. But it's okay. I think this is what this is telling me. I like contrast too much. I can't give it up. Okay. So there we go. I got that blurred. Let's go ahead and add the other little light spots here, kind of blending upward from it. Just to make the hair look a little shinier. I am on the wrong layer. I am completely on the wrong layer. Let's try that again. It happens more often than I like to admit, but it's okay. I can fix it. I noticed it pretty quickly. And now all is well. Okay, so I'm just gonna bring a little bit of light up from here. Make him look a little bit shinier. I do think it helped, so I'll do that. Okay, and then just a little bit of my dark color underneath. Just to make them contrast a little bit harder. I thought that looked nice too, so I'll go ahead and do it. I've never been able to get it to work before now, so I'm kind of glad I was able to get it to work this time. And I like it. It does make them look a little shinier here. Okay, so what I'm hoping for by the end here is that when I add like the other bits of atmosphere and the other shadows and all this kind of stuff at the end, that it'll just kind of work, and hopefully what I hate is actually just, I don't know, the fact that it doesn't really feel like it's blending in, and or possibly that it's just not finished. I remember I felt that way with when I was working on Crony for a little while, so fingers crossed that it'll just get better later, but if it doesn't, I can deal. Anyway, I'm gonna go do these earmuffs. Actually, do I need any contrast on the hair? I probably do. Alright, let's go do some contrast. Because I think I got a couple of points that I need contrast. Like right here. And right here. Oh yeah, I still have to put the gradient on it. I should do that. Let me get the contrast in. No, I don't like it there. I only like it when it's dividing strands like this. This is for areas that just really, really need the extra contrast. Okay. I think that's all right here, so I'll go ahead and use the airbrush to kinda make things a little bit smoother here. Oh, I do have you set to erase. I thought I had you set to paint. It's fine. I do now. Okay, now I erase a little. Kinda blend out the contrast there. Okay. Yeah, I think that's good. Let's go ahead and put the other pink on. So what, that's just you, and I think I can mostly just do it like this. And then I'll take my shadow color I have set for you and just kind of brush in a few shadows. Oh, that's way too much. I'm gonna be gentle with it. Very, very gentle. Very, very gentle. There we go. There we go. That should about do it. I want to make the edges a little bit harder. So I'm going to kind of go back and forth over them a little until I'm happy. And I might go over the contrast shadows a little bit because they are sure something there. They are like burning hot. Not exactly what I'm going for here, so I'm gonna take them back a little bit. Just a little bit here. Gonna try to make them a little bit more hard-edged as well. So this way they look like stuff kind of in between the hairs as opposed to just a part of the shading. And okay, there we go. I think that's okay. Alright, so I'm gonna go do the earmuffs. I don't really want to get into her eyes this stream, but I think the eyes are gonna be the first thing I do next stream, and then I'm just gonna work my way down her outfit. I'm still not quite sure if I want some kind of pattern on this. I feel like it might need it, but I haven't decided what yet. So I think I'm just gonna paint it normally, and if I decide it needs a pattern or some ribbons or something, I'll just add it all at the end. But I'll go ahead and just, you know, kind of get things going here. I'm kind of looking forward to painting all the little animals too. And I just realized that she has a rabbit on her head. So I'm gonna have to kind of deal with that on her hair too. Okay. The hazards of hiding layers here. But yeah, it looks like what it covered up was mostly just some highlight spots. So I should be fine. I might just have to erase some highlights. Anywho, let's see here. I was gonna do the earmuffs. Where are those earmuffs? Here they are. Okay. So I'm kind of using the blue from her clothes, so that's this guy. In this area, I think I can just keep totally dark. I might add just a little bit of light. Keep it fluffy, and I think rather than painting here, I'm actually just going to just lightly, very, very lightly put in a little shadow at the bottom and kind of turn it yellow. Like I was doing with these guys over there. So let me just add the tiny little bit of light getting through here, so this way it looks fluffy. Just gonna get a nice small brush and blob and make things dotted. Still the one place where I consider blobs acceptable in my art. And I'll just blob a little bit over there, and I think that's about all I'm gonna do for them, really. And I'll just kind of fade this into the background. Go ahead and blob. Make it fluffier. Okay. And there we go. I think that's the earmuffs themselves. And I guess I'll go get her ears. Let's see. What are the highlights like in the ears? More matte than the hair. She has like 2 ribbons on one of the ears. I might put those in. I might not. I might choose like a different decoration. So I'm just not going to worry about it yet. I'm just going to get the basic structure of the clothes down based on what I already know. And if I decide that they are too plain afterwards, I think it's likely, I will figure out what to add after. I do think it's likely, but I just need to see what everything looks like. Oh yeah, and I can blush her cheeks now. I'm gonna do that. I just want to do that right now. For that, I think I can use my standard blushing technique of getting the hottest pink possible and just very, very lightly going over them. This is too dark. It's fine. I'll take it back a little. I like putting it a little bit on the nose and the chin and the forehead, but her forehead's covered, so I'm not going to worry about that one. Now I can kind of adjust the smoothness and everything here. Until it is all the way I want. And this might be a little bit too pink. I'm gonna make it a warmer pink. And I don't mind her cheeks looking a little redder than they otherwise would be. It's cold out. They're gonna be a little bit redder. I think it'll make the place look a little bit colder. But even this still feels like a little bit much. Okay, and I think I will add some lines here. Another thing I don't always do, but do sometimes because it can make characters look very cute. You just add little, very, very subtle diagonal lines like this. Yeah, that one is too thick. You can see that I'm pretty sure they're like less than a pixel thick. So super duper subtle. Super duper subtle. And I'm even gonna kind of take off the edges just a little bit. Alright. Let's see, I think I still want to blend over here and on the nose a little because I don't want the nose to be too rosy. Okay, and then hopefully as I finish off the body, things will look less weird to me. I'm still hopeful that that's why things look a little bit weird to me, but I don't know. There's just something plasticky about it, and I don't think I like it. It's a bit of a shame. Oh, well, I still got a little bit of time, so let's go get her ears. So, you know, this is where it would be, you know, totally valid to say, hey, if you don't like it, just do something else, try something else, but, in this case, I am genuinely trying for, like, a specific stylistic thing, and it's easy to say, hey, you know, just do it slightly differently, but that kind of voids the experiment. So I just need to see it through, I think. Sometimes art is just like that. It's fine. Nothing to feel bad about. Anyway, I'm just gonna make these fluffy, so, you know, just gonna be dotting things. Dotting. Blobbing. And I think that looks pretty fluffy. I kind of want a darker color for some of the corners. I'll get it after I finish blobbing on this side. And actually, I think I want to do a little more blobbing on this side too, just to make the edge here a little bit softer. Actually, I probably want to do that just all the way around. You know, that's a point too. Maybe I need to add some more like loose strands and various things like that. I think I don't want to do that until I render the bunny on her head. But wow, just unlocking the layer and adding a little bit of fluff and a little bit more transparent a fashion like this. This made a huge difference. If I can do the same thing with the hair, I think it might actually look better. Okay. I'm gonna finish her ears, and after that, I'll try it. I think I'll do the same with the earmuffs. Yeah, I'm so used to my harder style that I totally forgot that, you know, with softer styles, you gotta respect the transparency and the fluff. With the harder style, I don't want a lot of transparency. But with softer ones, the transparency actually makes sense here. Oh, that looks so good, man. Okay. There's hope yet. Okay, and I want to add a light color now. I'm gonna lock that layer for just a little bit and block in the basic lights, and then afterwards I think I'll unlock it and see if there's anything that I want to make fluffier. Yeah, I gotta do the same thing to the earmuffs. It looks so much better. Night and day difference. Okay, so let me get the bright lights in here first. Yeah, I think there's going to be some more fluff to be done. Just make it extra fluffy. Oh yeah, like that fluff. I like it a lot. Okay, I'm gonna go do the earmuffs now. Same idea. Just kind of let some escape the confines of the edges here. And that'll make it look more fluffy. I feel like I knew this, but did not draw it. It's okay. Sometimes it takes a lot to relearn things. And sometimes just trying things is enough to make you go, well, that was obvious. I should have tried that. People are forgetful. Yeah, I actually saw a drawing teacher talk about this, where he was doing some corrections for some artwork, and his advice was ultimately that they basically showed a piece from several years ago, and then the piece that they wanted actual corrections on, and his advice to them was, hey, remember what you were able to do. Don't forget. Incorporate it into your new stuff. And, you know, that's what I'm trying to do by revisiting some of the old stuff I used to do. So, there we go. Something I had forgotten. I probably don't have it right with the hair either, so... Okay, so how do I want to tackle this on the hair? What did I used to do with hair? You know, I'm actually gonna go look at some old art, and I want to figure out what I used to do with hair. So I'm gonna go look at art from, like, I don't know, probably like 3 to 5 years ago, and see what I did. You know, maybe I'll even look at some of it from like 10 years ago. I guess I could open it up on stream, so let me find a couple of good examples, and I'll see what I want to do. You know, that one's a decent one. That one was a speed paint. But it being a speed paint doesn't mean that it didn't work out. I kind of liked how I handled some of the shading there. Then I did a bunch of minimalist painting for a while. And I'm, you know, specifically looking for one where I actually do kind of like the hair still. But it is true, I had a lot of trouble with hair for a long time, and I didn't like a lot of the way my hair looked early on. So I might actually have trouble finding one where I kind of liked the hair. Yeah, I kind of don't see any. Okay, I'll go ahead and open up the one that I saw. I'll just plop it in the reference window, I guess. So this is... This is when I was doing a lot of fan art for Path to Nowhere. I don't really play it anymore. I dropped basically any game that had... like, dailies or anything that I had to log in every day for because it was starting to drive me insane. Okay. So this guy. So like I said, it was a speed paint, but you know, the way I handled certain things, I thought actually it was pretty okay. So I'll go leave it up here for reference for myself. Let's see, when was that drawn? It must have been like 2-3 years ago. Yeah, I remember that was drawn when I was like in a super bad slump, and I just didn't want to draw anything, so I just started doing like hour-long speed paints. So let's see, what is the date on this? When did I upload this? May 30th, 2023. But yeah, no, I think there's some merit in there. The way that I especially, you know, like some of this stuff here. I got the bright highlight there, it's still pretty hard. And then all of this looks, her clothes look very soft. And I'm a sucker for starry skies, so... And everything is all blended in very well, and I got some nice rim light there. Man. And that was just a time I really didn't feel like drawing. Okay. Doesn't really help me on the hair, though. But it is true that there just really isn't much that I like about the way I used to do hair. Oh, life is hard. Hair is only something I figured out relatively recently. So I don't really have a good example for myself. Gonna give myself one more look through just to... Because there's a couple that I do remember liking. I just don't know if I like the hair specifically. Yeah, not especially. Not especially. Okay. Yeah, it's like I look at some of these and I really like their clothes, but I don't really like their hair. So, I think it's just true. I'm trying to remember what I used to do. And I'm like, oh yeah, I hated the hair, like, all the time. So, I went out on a journey to learn how to do hair, and I think I've largely succeeded. This is significantly better than everything I used to do. So life is hard. So I'm kind of on my own, but it's okay. So, first thing I think I'm gonna try. I want a few more loose strands. I don't know if I want them on top or on bottom, so I'm just gonna put it on top for now. And I'm just gonna go to 100% and plop in some loose strands. Yeah, that's right. The earmuffs are in the way. Okay, I will go put it on the top of her head then. And I'll just erase anything I don't want. Okay. Well, we'll see if it helps. If it helps make her look a little bit less plastic. And I can also use loose strands to bring a little bit of extra hair, like, inside here. Something like this. I think it's helping. I'm gonna erase some of the stuff that's on the ribbon. I'm just kind of starting with the ones in the highlights first, and I'll move on to ones that aren't a little bit later. I think it's helping. And then I realized that there's like no movement in her hair again. I was focused way too much on preserving the silhouette that I totally made it totally stiff. No wonder it looks like plastic. That has nothing to do with the shading. Let's see, how do I want to fix that? I think I can still keep it like that. I'll keep my loose strands. I think fixing this is actually a higher priority than getting loose strands here. Okay. I did this with Rudy too, actually. I just realized. Yeah, I was very focused on getting the general silhouette there that I totally did not properly make it blow in the wind. So let's see, what I'm gonna do. What direction do I want the hair to be blowing? I think I want it going this way. So I'm gonna kinda make it flutter a little bit over here. And most of this I can just put in light, so that'll be easy to draw. The shape is terrible, don't worry about it, I'll fix it. But I just need to, I need to get it going. No, that's not working. Let's see. I might just have to redraw this bottom part entirely. The top part I think is fine. Always a little unfortunate to figure that out after I have everything drawn, but this is probably important enough that it's worth doing. And a little bit kind of coming into her face here. I really might just have to redraw a lot of that. Oh, that is super unfortunate. Super unfortunate, but it'll look better. Because I'm not sure if I can make hair that looks this stiff look okay. I was way too focused on matching her hair silhouette. Especially for something with softer shading. I mean, even this much already looks a lot better, but I don't think I can preserve it with just her bangs being like that. Or the hair over here. I was kind of able to get away with it with Rooney, but I'm not sure if I can do it here. I gotta stop doing that. Let's see. Can I liquefy my way out of this? I'm probably gonna have to redraw the highlights no matter what I do. Let's see if I do it very, very carefully. And then just redraw certain key areas of it. Let's find out. How much of this do I have to scrap? It's certainly not 0, but I don't think it's 100% either. Let's see. I want to try this again here. I gotta take this very seriously because whatever I can't figure out and make look good, I have to redraw. So I would like to try to redraw as little as possible, and you were supposed to be highlight, but... This will be another case where I think I'm gonna go and look at pictures. Gotta look at pictures and also... And also just see how things have to be drawn in order to make this work for me. I think that will be a loose strand rather than a redraw here, so... But here should definitely be... No, I think this is fine. And this is looking pretty okay over here. I might add just a little bit more body over here, just, this might be a job for the loose strands rather than what I'm doing here. But this I'm not sure how to salvage. Okay, I do have one thing I can try. This will require a little bit of cleanup afterward. But that's okay, I can do that. Just take this and rotate it. Maybe a little bit of skew. And that's fine, that bit of overlap is just from, the highlight overlapping. I can clean that up after. I think this means I'm gonna have to redo parts of the highlights just because they're gonna... just because of the blur that I always like to put on it. Okay, but no, that's much better. I think I can still keep it curving like that, as long as I have enough other hair kind of derping around. Okay, I don't think I like what I have down here, so I'm gonna try again. And I would like this somewhat wrangled before I stop for today, just because this is a really sad place to leave things at. Okay, but it's good to know that it's not the shading style that was making me hate the hair. It's, the hair that's making me hate the hair. And that's easier to do something about. Maybe it's not actually easier, but it's, it won't interfere with me trying things. So I can actually do it. And that's always a plus, you know? Okay, so I'll get this fluttering a little bit more. Maybe just a little bit up at the top there. I don't know how I feel about this. I don't think it needs to flutter that hard. Not up there. Down here, I like the big flutter. But maybe up here, just a slight. And then I'll put the loose strands back on and kind of put them in. And, you know, hopefully next time I draw hair, I remember this moment. And I can think ahead and be like, you know, you should draw the hair properly the first time instead of having to pull all these shenanigans to fix all your terrible mistakes. You know, always a good idea, in my opinion. No, nobody needs all these shenanigans in their life. I'll put a little bit over her chin here. I think that's cute. This is definitely way too much of a blob, though, so I gotta take that back a bit. And let it be known, for those struggling with hair, I feel ya. Okay, but that's good. And I think this will work once I shade it and fix whatever's, you know, going on here. Hehe. Well, thank you very much. I'm glad. Alright, let's go ahead and do some of those loose strands that I was talking about before. Because now I can kind of have some going out this way. And we'll just let the hair be, you know, very fluttery. Oh yeah, that one I don't want to be light. So I'll just let a few kind of come out like this. Okay, these ones need to move because they're not doing that anymore. And these are loose strands, so they don't have to be going the same direction as everything else. That's just how loose strands are. They kind of do what they want. Okay, but this is making a huge difference. Okay, this is salvageable. I'm glad. I was really worried for a second there. But this should be totally salvageable. This might be too much loose strand, but you know, it's fine. I can fix it up later. And I think I'll do a few down here too. Okay. Yeah, that actually does look a lot better. So the problem was just how I drew the hair, not how I shaded it. That's good to know. See, this is why I insist on going through with things until the end. Because sometimes I figure out something and I realize, it's not a stylistic problem, it's a drawing problem. That happens a lot, actually. It's easy to make mistakes when you're trying things, but yeah, okay, I can get behind that. I'll be able to fix that, and that'll be what I do next time. So next time we'll fix up the hair, and then I'll get into drawing her eyes, and I'll figure out how I want to do those. I've been doing a little bit of eye study too, but this is where I will stop for today. So thank you all for coming, and I hope you're able to make something wonderful today. I will see you all tomorrow.